What's up, guys? Mr. Martin here. We're going to talk about our literary term for September 1st, and this is known as diction. The easiest way to think about diction is to kind of also to go out of writing and imagine that how would you talk to your teacher versus how you would talk to a parent versus how you would talk to your friend versus how you would talk to your sibling or your little sister, little brother, or something. So what this really means is that the author's diction is his word choice and how they are going to use their words and for what purpose. You can use a very academic form of diction that essentially denotes that you are writing a serious scholarly paper, or you could use an informal form of diction for maybe a casual blog post about, going out on the town or something like that. So, anyways, let's get down to the words and we'll just kind of run through this. So, diction, word choice that matches a writer's purpose. So, essentially, like as I said, what words are the author using to get across their purpose? Like, let's say I'm writing a college paper, I probably would not use the word y'all in it. However, there are exceptions. Always an exception. So consider whenever you're trying to figure out the diction of it, you want to consider the occasion, the audience, and the tone of the written piece. Remember, tone versus mood. Remember, that was last week's literary term. So think about what tone is. The tone is basically the author's feelings towards the topic that they are writing on. So the feelings reflect what kind of words they will use. So usually if somebody's writing in an academic manner about something, usually they take it very seriously or have a very serious point to make about it. But let's say I'm talking in a kind of a more informal fashion about something, then usually you can kind of tell that I'm not taking it very seriously. And that can also be used as like a form of power to argue against something. But all that aside, so let's go down to the ways to characterize diction. So you have informal. Example, you see, it's all okay now. That just sounds like normal everyday speak pretty much. So, versus formal, as it turned out, all was well. See, normally you talk like this in real life, right? That's how we all talk, I think. If you talk like this, sorry, you're not going to have many friends. People are going to look at you weird. So, you have other types of like things, such as general forms of diction, such as look, versus a specific form of diction, gaze. Look, you can look at somebody a lot of ways. You can look at them, with suspicion. You can look at them kind of dismissively, but a gaze, that's describing something like a very specific form of diction. That means you're piercing into them. You're looking into their soul. So, another form of diction, concrete versus abstract. So, sour versus appetizing. Concrete means essentially what's going on here is sour is sour. Something that's sour is objectively sour. I eat something that's sour, it's going to be sour to me. You eat something that the same thing, it's going to be sour to you, unless you have some form of defect or something like that that alters your taste buds. But as I said earlier, always exceptions. But generally speaking, a sour thing is sour. Abstract, appetizing. What is appetizing? You can't really pin down what appetizing is because everyone sees something different. Because, me, I love a nice big old cheeseburger, some fries, and a milkshake. But, some people might find that absolutely disgusting. At the same time, I don't find, like squid, octopus tentacles and stuff like that with little suction cups on it and the squishy noise whenever you bite into it. I don't find that very appetizing. So that's a much more abstract way to describe something. usually whenever you're writing your papers and stuff, you always want to use concrete types of words. Now, slang versus academic. Y'all should know versus one might consider. So if I'm talking to you guys trying to teach you a lesson, I probably would say y'all should know, because that kind of puts me down onto, the common speak, and it's easier just to transmit your message without making people give you a double look like, what did you just say? On the other hand, academic, if I'm in a big formal auditorium giving my life's work out, trying to convince them of some sort of new theory I discovered or something, I would probably use one might consider, because that just seems like a lot more suitable for the setting. And essentially, slang and academic, concrete, abstract, general, specific, none of these things, it's important to say that none of these things are better than one another. Diction has a time and a place. Usually when you're in the classroom, you're going to want to use concrete terms, specific ideas, and academic writing. But all these other things, these are not necessarily like abstraction, and slang are not in any form lesser ways of communication. They are just not necessarily appropriate for certain purposes. So you always have to consider what diction you're using and what kind of message it will get across. Thank you guys, and you guys all have a good day.